Second Take is brought to you in part by Planet Pizza.
Hello and welcome to Second Take. I'm Eric Hammond along with Patrick Kieran here to talk to you about some sports. And Pat, let's start off with the NFL. Who's the best team in the NFL right now?
Right now, it's hard to go with any team other than the Denver Broncos.
I totally agree with that.
Look at the dominance. Peyton Manning, the receivers that he has, Welker, Demarius Thomas, Eric Decker, Julius Thomas, the cast goes on.
And then you look at what they have in the backfield. Nosha Moreno stepping up and being a very big piece. That defense didn't look good against the Cowboys per se, but they get Von Miller back soon. That could really help them out coming up this week and moving forward.
Yeah.
Best team in the NFC?
Best team in the NFC would be the New Orleans Saints.
I would say it's a tie. It's close up there with the Saints and the Seahawks. But right now, I mean, by record, obviously you have to go with the Saints. Right. But a big test this week against the Patriots. But look at it. I think the Seahawks have the better defense, but the Saints defense isn't too shabby. Rob Ryan's doing a very good job with that D.
No, the Saints defense is looking pretty solid thus far, and you look at the Seahawks. Obviously, every home game they play is almost a guaranteed win. Meanwhile, teams like the Saints, who when they're playing on the home or road, both could be a good contest.
Right, and if you look at it, what you said about the Seahawks, every game matters now for the Saints because they need to win that home field advantage. I mean, it's not looking good for the Falcons, Panthers, and Bucks for that matter of catching the Saints. But for the Saints, every game matters because they don't want to go to Seattle possibly in an NFC Championship game. Now let's talk about these local teams, the teams that me and you like. We'll talk about the Giants. They're sitting at 0-5, not very good.
Not very good at all.
What do you see? Only 2 games back, though, in that NFC East, a very weak NFC East division. What do you possibly see the Giants doing to possibly catch them, or is their season? I mean, it's not done because they're only 2 games back.
The season's not over yet. I mean, like you said, they're only 2 games back. The NFC East, very, very poor division. You look at the other teams, the Redskins, just a win on the season. The Eagles, just 2 wins. Where these are teams that, if the Giants do catch their stride and they start winning some games, which they're going to have to do with the passing game, not the running game, because they have the pieces receiving. Yeah. Victor Cruz, Akeem Nicks, Brandon
The
Myers.
Offensive line is struggling. That doesn't help out with the running game. But the running game is a big part of the NFL nowadays, and now Wilson's hurt. Darrell Scott's back now with Brandon Jacobs, but they're not doing the job that has to be done. That being said, the ball possession has been horrible too for the Giants. So that defense is being on the field a lot longer. And a defense that I think can be really good is forced to be on the field extra time, gets tired, and nevertheless, we saw against the Eagles, they got too tired to hold the Eagles, and the Eagles took off. Deshaun Jackson had those big plays. Let's talk about another New York team just upsetting the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not sure upsetting at 1-4. I mean, they were technically the underdogs, but they're 3-2. Falcons are 1-4. But let's talk about those Jets. Geno Smith looking pretty impressive in that game.
Geno Smith looked really good. He looked pretty good most of the season, except for the
week 4.
The Falcons.
against the Titans.
Yeah, behind the back pass.
Yeah, that was
didn't work.
Not a smart decision by the rookie. But you expect those type of things from a rookie.
He's a rookie, and you realize that in weeks he's going to evolve, and he definitely showed that this week. He had a great game out there. Yeah. Jeff Cumberland, a big game receiving.
Jeff Cumberland, but tight ends. And Kellen Winslow had something. But I think if you look at the rookie seasons compared to Mark Sanchez's, they're definitely trusting Geno a lot more. I mean, Rex Ryan did not go to the red light, green light system like he did with Sanchez in his rookie year. But the big comparison is the Jets now have a running game like they did with Thomas Jones back when Sanchez was a rookie, and their defense has now become one of the top of the leagues. It's always been up there, but their best defense was in Sanchez's rookie and possibly sophomore years. Now this defense, which it hasn't been as good in the last couple of years, is definitely improving, and that's led by Sheldon Richardson now, the rookie out of Missouri.
Sheldon Richardson's been doing an excellent job at the line. Him along with Muhammad Wilkerson, they're 2 beasts on your D-line.
So before we move on real quick, talk about this AFC East. You got the Patriots up there. A lot of people speculating possibly that they're not quite going to run away with this division because you have teams like the Dolphins and then the surprise Jets and Bills up there. Do you see the Patriots still getting it because they're the Patriots, or do you see someone else coming in and taking it from them?
I still see the Patriots having this division on lockdown because, I mean, just look at what Tom Brady's been able to do every year, regardless of the receivers that he's had. He's been able to do well thus far the first 5 weeks of the season, 4-1. And look at the pieces he got back. He got back Danny Amendola in week 5. He's getting back Rob Gronkowski hopefully this week. And as long as all that comes into fruition, the passing game will really gain a lot more solidity. And the Patriots definitely be a dominant force.
The game against the Saints is going to be huge to test them there. Their biggest win this season has come against the Falcons. Although, you know, just the weak Falcons right now. And then you look at the win against the Jets.
Right.
The Jets are only improving at this point, so possibly a Week 7 matchup with the Jets is going to be a big, and Week 8 matchup against the Dolphins is going to be a big, you know, whatever happens in those games might turn out to be obviously big division games. Division games are big. So let's move on to some baseball, playoff baseball. And I guess we could focus on the teams that are already in right now, the teams that are already moving on, excuse me, to the LCS series are the LA Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. I guess we'll start with the Red Sox. Let's talk about the Red Sox real quick.
Red Sox, that was very impressive in their series against the Braves. The only game they lost was because of a walk-off home run. Not walk-off, but game-winning.
Game-winning.
But still.
No, it was walk-off. It was Jose Lobaton walk-off home run.
I mean, still, you look, the Red Sox had such leads in all these games until that one point where they pretty much dominated the entire series.
Their ability to, it's kind of like a Billy Bean type team. Look at the A's possibly getting there, but if they do, by the time the show airs, we don't know. But right now, the Red Sox are very similar to the Oakland Athletics. And because they get people on base and they just drive them in, they don't have a guy, I mean, obviously Big Papi's that guy, and Big Mike Napoli has been that guy this year to get the home runs, but they're doing it by getting people on base and just knocking them in because they can do that, and then they also can get the long ball. That's what's really impressive about them. Pitching's pretty well as well. Let's look at the Dodgers, though. LA Dodgers, Yasiel Puig, big name. I think Hanley Ramirez is big. But a guy who came up big, a guy who won the World Series in 2005 with the White Sox, in 2010 with the San Francisco Giants. Juan Uribe had that game-winning 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to beat the Braves. What do you see from the Dodgers moving forward? Do you think they can get to the World Series and possibly win it after a historic run in the regular season?
I definitely think they can. I picked the Dodgers as my favorite to win the World Series from the beginning of this season. And, I mean, although that didn't look too bright early on in the season, they stepped it up when Yasiel Puig got called up. And with the return of guys like Hanley Ramirez, they've just been mashing the ball since.
I mean, you got to mention Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I was going to say, the pitching is nonstop. You guys got guys like Clayton Kershaw, Zach Greinke, Hyun-Jin Ryu, who they're just been dominant, especially in the playoffs.
I really like what I've seen from Kenley Jansen. Brian Wilson, always a spark plug out of the now in LA, not in San Francisco anymore, out of the Dodgers bullpen. So that's going to help them moving forward. I like the Cardinals. Whether they're up 2-0 right now. We'll see if they move on, and if they get there, I like that to be a very good series. But we'll see. Now let's talk about some NBA action, a sport that I haven't really talked about in a while, but it's starting. Training camp's already underway. Let's talk about the fact that the season starts in less than a month. Let's talk about the Nets and the Knicks. I know we got this rivalry going on right now. They don't play their first game, I believe, until January or maybe even late December. It's well into the season. So for the first couple of months, who do you think is going to show they're the best team in the Atlantic Division?
I think it's going to be a close race between the two.
It's going to be close.
I mean, the Knicks, you look at the season that they had last year, a lot of doubters, but Carmelo Anthony went out there, got the Knicks a 54-win season. And you look, this year they added so many good pieces. You got Andrea Bargnani, who's a nice shooter. And you look at Amari Stoudemire, hopefully if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, that's a big.
Like Meta World Peace. They got Beno Udrih. All guys
Meta
who
World
are
Peace
very efficient
got to
off
be
the bench.
big.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't obviously, if you pay attention at the very slightest to basketball, you know what happened for the Nets this offseason, trading for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And don't forget Jason Terry. He's going to be a big spark plug off the bench. Maybe not like he was in Dallas, but he'll still get some significant minutes and be a big part of that team. The way I look at it is whether I'm not totally sold on the Knicks quite yet, but I can't bet against Carmelo Anthony at this point. He's a reigning scoring champion. I think he can have a very good season, and that's the reason why they'll be up there with the Nets, very competitive in those big division games that they're going to have later on in the year. There's 4 of them, I think, in the second half of the year, or maybe even, I don't know. But they have the games, and those games are going to be huge, not only because they're in the same division. That makes it even more huge. But now they're just rivals because now the Knicks are like, wait, you're coming to New York City, Brooklyn, and now that they're a very good team. And I don't want to not mention.
Paul Pierce has been talking a lot about
he
how
has.
it's time for
It's
the Nets
take over
to
the
take
city.
over the city.
And if you really think about it, when's the last time the Knicks have won a championship? Nets have never won one, granted, but it's been a long time since the Knicks won one. So maybe it is time for someone to come in. Oh, and maybe it's time for the Knicks to defend their ground and maybe come up with a shocking division win. But I can't end this broadcast without talking about Brook Lopez. I'm a big Brook Lopez guy. Love him. He's been there ever since New Jersey. He's a very loyal guy, and I think he's going to have – I'm not saying he did have a breakout year because I think last year was considered a breakout year for him. He was on the All-Star team. So I think he's going to piggyback on that. I think the rebound numbers, unfortunately for him, are going to be down with guys like KG, maybe
they
even
weren't very
Bledge.
high in
They
the
weren't
first
very
place.
high, 6 for 7, 6.6, 6.6, 7.6, something like that last year.
Yeah.
Not what you'd like to see from your 7-foot center. Granted, nothing. No, I mean it's not horrible compared to his 8. You know, he was averaging 9 in the rookie year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've gone down, and but unfortunately for the Nets, they have guys like Reggie Evans and Kevin Garnett and Andre Blatch who can get some
Guys like Bledge
rebounds.
Get big rebounds.
And even the small guys get rebounds.
Yeah.
And I think you got to mention Darren Williams and Joe Johnson. They've been there since. Well, Darren Williams has been there longer. Joe Johnson just got there last year. I think they're in for some big years, especially under new head coach. How can you not mention it? Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
He'll have his number retired pretty soon. So I think that's a very good job bringing him in. One last thing. Let's talk about Mike Woodson. What do you like from him?
I like Mike Woodson a lot. I mean, you look at from when he stepped in to the Knicks head coaching job when Mike D'Antoni resigned.
Yeah.
And from the point where he took over as head coach, the Knicks really caught their stride. They made it into the postseason 2 years ago, the 7th seed, they lost. But
Yeah. Well,
this season, they came back stronger than ever. It was pretty much mostly the same team.
Yep.
They had a new few pieces like Jason Kidd, Marcus Camby. And you look at those guys that they came in, and with Mike Woodson as head coach, he was able to get them to a 50-plus win season.
yeah. Woodson has complete control of that team.
Yeah.
You look at what J.R. Smith did in the offseason. I think he even dyed his hair blonde. And Mike Woodson
told him to change that.
change that before you get back here or else. So I think he's got really complete control of that team. And I think right now, if Jason Kidd can live up to the potential I think he has as a head coach. He's a very smart guy. People have said it. Coach K was a big advocate to Billy King about signing Jason Kidd. I think we had two of the better coaches in the league. Obviously, Craig Popovich is in my opinion, the best in the league. But two very good coaches in the league in New York City. In part of that rivalry, which is going to be huge. So you guys can catch that rivalry starting, well, we said in January. But basketball season does start late October, I think of October 30th. But, you know, continue watching some sports right now. The MLB playoffs, NFL season right in full swing. For Patrick Kiernan, I'm Eric Hammond. You've been watching Second Take. We'll see you later.